Your stories don't define you, but how you tell them will. Hi, I'm Sarah Elkins, your host and chief storymaker at Elkins Consulting. Whether you're sharing professional stories or personal stories, the stories you share matter. They can change how somebody perceives you, and they can change how you experience yourself. If you need to influence someone in an interview, please don't hesitate to take my job interview storytelling course on Udemy. The link is in the show notes on this podcast episode at elkinsconsulting.com. I promise you will feel a lot more confident going into your next interview after taking the course. I have not been following my own guidance. I know I'm not the only one who often will share great advice, but then not take it myself. I've been ignoring something that's been festering under the surface, choosing instead to continue a behavior I know can be hurtful to someone else, and it's out of alignment with how I want to experience myself. I've been sharing some stories in a way that not only hurts the feelings of someone I love, they also keep me and my relationship with that person anchored in time. It's my mom. I'm guessing that this situation might resonate with you. Maybe it's your relationship with your mother too, or maybe it's another relationship that goes way back. Your father, sibling, a cousin, maybe it's a family friend. My sister has a powerful and loving way of calling me on my bullshit. She's the one who pointed out that we both need to focus more on sharing the stories of brilliance, kindness, and generosity in our mother. The thing is, I have lots of great stories about my mom. The times she said something especially wise that have stuck with me decades later. The times she showed up for me in big ways when I really needed her. The qualities I saw in her when I was a child that continue to inform how I raise my boys. Her generosity with friends, her kindness to strangers, her close relationship with her siblings. I hear stories from friends about losing their mom too young. Friends who have seriously difficult and unhealthy relationships with their mothers. Or worse, they're estranged and have no relationship at all. And I know how fortunate I am for the mother I have. She's kind, generous, and puts up with a lot of bullshit from me. She unknowingly has been an incredible model to me. I attribute a lot of my success as a mom to things she taught me, like committing to consistent family dinners with our boys, encouraging them to spend time in the kitchen with me, learning their way around recipes and dangerous equipment, and giving them space to make mistakes and take risks. She went back to school when we were teenagers to fulfill her lifelong dream of becoming a baby nurse, graduating with high honors with her RN 4 years later. I thought of that accomplishment a lot when I registered for classes for an MBA program with a fourth grader and a sixth grader at home. I've told her the story of receiving her wisdom when I was 18 and struggling with a toxic work environment. She said, "Sarah, you can't quit now. You have to finish the commitment you made for the summer because if you don't, this challenging situation will come back to you in different forms until you learn the lesson the universe is trying to teach you." I've also reminded her on more than one occasion how much I appreciated her help when we moved from Washington, D.C. to Helena, Montana, with a 6-month-old baby, a dog, and a cat. She flew from Northern California to D.C., showed up at our apartment, and started packing the kitchen, insisting on writing on the outside of each box every single item she packed inside. That insistence made it possible for me to make comfort food, a tuna noodle casserole, the very first night in our newly rented home in Montana. Thanks to her insistence, I easily found everything I needed that evening. The big saucepan for the noodles, the casserole dish, the wooden spoon, the colander, the can opener, the seasonings. It was truly an amazing and unexpected gift. No matter how many wonderful moments I share from my memories of her, what she hears are the not so great stories. And it's not one-sided. I have heard on more than one occasion, all the times I messed up and what a horrible teenager I was to her. I know, thanks to interviewing Dr. Kate McLean from Western Washington University, that the stories we tell about people can strongly influence their identity. She was talking about her research with children and teens. But I have to wonder how much of the stories we hear about ourselves, even as adults, impact us. How many times do you have to hear how great you did at work before you actually believe it? A lot. But it doesn't require much criticism to believe the bad stuff. That's why this conversation with my sister was so important. I've been saying for years that the stories we share about others say a lot about who we are. And I need to be more conscious and compassionate about the stories I share about my mom. The stories I share about her affect how I experience myself and my relationship with her, even when she doesn't hear them. I help people understand how certain strengths show up in unproductive ways by sharing my specific experiences. And every time I share a story, I'm continuing to process my story to uncover negative patterns and learn more about who I am and how I can improve. That's what I do for my clients and audiences. When I share stories that resonate with people, they see themselves in them and can choose whether and how to make changes and improvements in their communication and interactions with people they care about. If you've listened to a few podcast episodes or read my book, you'll likely agree that I share a lot more stories of the times my talents have shown up in unproductive ways than in positive ways. Again, as examples for people to learn from, and for me to continue to become the person I want to be, for me to continue to behave in alignment with my values. And I learn best from people when I can see myself in their stories. I need to hear a story so I can consider whether I've made a similar mistake or have a similar pattern that I need to address. But there's a trick here. How do we share stories of our personal growth that include other characters, but without creating a villain or causing harm to those relationships? I'm lucky because my mom and I have a close relationship. We talk to each other. We share when our feelings are hurt. We work hard to ensure there's no doubt about our deep and absolute love for each other. So this episode is in honor of my mom. I've collected a few stories about her from a recent visit, vibrant memories we made together that I share to demonstrate the beauty that is our relationship right now. When I was visiting her in Northern California, my mom insisted on pampering me. I have a wonderful image in my head of us emerging from a salon after having a relaxing pedicure. I was wearing flip-flops, though it was a chilly evening, and I remember looking down at my pretty feet and smiling at my mom. We stood in the parking lot and hugged tightly as I thanked her for treating me. Then we got into the car and stopped for ice cream on the way home. A perfect reminder that we're adults and we make our own rules. We had dessert before dinner. One morning during my trip, my mom invited me to join her for her exercise class at the center in their retirement community. I remember watching her pick up 2 4-pound dumbbells and a resistance band for the class. And when I picked up the same equipment, I thought, these dumbbells are kind of heavy. The instructor was brutal. She took no prisoners as she started the 50 minutes of dance and resistance training. I took a spot right behind my mom and was blown away at her fitness level. I couldn't keep up. Seriously, these women between 65 and over 80 kicked my ass. What I remember most about the experience was the pride as I watched my 78-year-old mom move. She's so strong. And afterward, the instructor couldn't stop telling me how much she loves my mother. My mom and her partner also treated me to 3 performances at the Mondavi Center: the Alexander String Quartet, the Jazz at Lincoln Center Jazz Band, and on my final night with them, we saw one of my favorite bands, Pink Martini. Toward the end of Pink Martini's performances, they always engaged the audience by playing lively dance music and encouraging everyone to get up and move. When I think of that evening, I'm immediately transported to the moment when my mom and I stood up to dance. We laughed as we wiggled. We danced with so much energy that we were breathless when we sat down for the final song of the concert. What stories are you sharing with the intent to teach or to learn or to grow, but that might actually be hurting somebody that you care about? Can you see whether it's damaging your relationship with that person, even if they haven't heard the story that you've been sharing? The stories we tell about other people say a lot about who we are. So please, the next time you start sharing a story, pay attention. Figure out how you can share it in a way that is positive and shows the beautiful light of you and the people in your life. Thanks for listening to Your Stories Don't Define You. How you tell them will.
You must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.